For the past 6 weeks, I've been prospecting an abandoned 1866 gold mine using my metal detector.
That overloads the whole machine.
And in that time, I've discovered some truly amazing specimens that I'm going to process today to release the gold and get them ready for sale. I use several methods to first dissolve the quartz off some of the larger specimens before crushing the rest to relinquish the gold. And what I end up with is some truly spectacular showpieces. In total, I have about 25 to 30 hours tied up in this mine. Besides these two beautiful specimens here, this is all the gold that I've so far crushed out of specimens or specimens that I don't want to crush up. You can see a lot of fine gold in there, and that's typical of crushing hard rock specimens, but you can also see some reefier pieces. And those reefier pieces in there are some detected bits as well as specimens that I've broken up. All of these are also specimens. A lot of them don't have any visible gold on them at all, and a few of them like this only have a little bit of visible gold poking out of them. And then there's this big bad boy that's also giving me a signal. 98% pure caustic soda, if heated to 350 degrees, dissolves silicates. My intention is to try and dissolve some of the quartz off one face of each of these large specimens to reveal the gold, but also have it contained within its host rock. I'll also be adding several of these smaller specimens into that mix to completely dissolve away any of the rock and quartz surrounding the gold, so we have the structure of the gold revealed without damaging it. Any of these larger specimens that don't have any visible gold in them at all, I am simply just going to crush up and pan off. Now, I have been debating about what to do with this big rock because there's only a small signal in it. Now, I could break this up and get the gold out of it, but part of me wants to keep it whole. The reason for that is that it's buck white quartz. Traditionally speaking, I don't find very much gold in buck white quartz ever. Most of the gold I find is in stuff that looks much more like this, and it's my theory that the old timers working the vein in this mine were hunting a highly decayed vein, and this is waste rock that was butting up against the side of that highly decayed vein, and we have some crossover of the gold from the main vein into this stuff. This rock here comes from another mine, and it gives you a very good example of what I'm talking about with a decaying vein. See those bubbles on the edge? Those bubbles are leftover pockets of air from sulfides dissolving out. And you can see on this vein how it juts hard up against a regular quartz vein with far less iron content in it. Those pockets there look like this before those sulfides dissolve out. See this silver material here? This is an iron matrix that is very slowly dissolving out of the rock since I've exposed it to oxygen. You can see this section here has already dissolved. When I broke it, it was this silver color up here. By keeping this rock whole, it gives me reference material for what the vein might have been jutting up against, and I can go back and hunt for this quartz in that mine that might be containing gold. To get the process started, you're definitely going to need a stainless steel drug. That's what's going to be non-reactive with your caustic soda when heating it. You also want some black nitrile gloves because you don't want this stuff on your hand. And you're also going to be dissolving quartz that potentially has other chemicals in it that can be harmful. Oh, damn child locks. I'm a strong, independent boy. We don't want tons of caustic soda. I've literally got just enough to cover the bottom by about 1 or 2 millimeters. I don't want to destroy these specimens. What I want to do is reveal the gold on this side. So I'm going to nestle these down into the caustic soda, and I'm going to make sure that I don't rotate them for the entirety of the time that they are dissolving. And what I'm hoping is that nice piece of gold on the side is going to reveal itself, and we'll be able to see the structure of the gold inside its host rock. And that is going to be pretty spectacular. Provided that it doesn't all go awry. But before we do any of that, we've got to add a little bit of water. We don't want to add much, just enough to turn the caustic soda into a bit of a paste. Hopefully they stay upright the way I want them to. And I want to dissolve the quartz off all the really small specimens here. Looks like I'm running some kind of dodgy drug lab out the back of my house, but I swear it's just for gold. See if this bad boy still turns on. Yeah, so I know number 4 is about 350 degrees on this hot plate. And that is what we need to activate the caustic soda. And they're going to have to stay on here for probably about an hour, maybe an hour and a half. Have a stainless steel bowl as a lid. And we just let that heat up. Now, how do we crush those? I have all manner of toys here. I have Stampy, the dolly pot, he's done a lot of work for me. I have my brushless angle grinder crusher. And for all the tradies who told me that wouldn't last more than 2 runs, we're going pretty strong after a solid month of use at about 10 crushes a week. You're such a good angle grinder. Then we have absolute overkill. I don't think we're going to use the big boy. Finally, we have our hand-powered jaw crusher. One must adopt the thinking man pose in these situations. I think we're going to use Stampy because he needs a job. And once Stampy has had his way with the ore, I'm going to move all this crap. I'm going to put the jaw crusher to work. Pick me, pick me, pick me, pick me, pick me. You. Goodbye. You, sir. It's time to meet your demise. This is my favourite bit, looking through and just seeing pieces of gold come out on the quartz you just busted. Look at that little bit. Is there any more chunks that I can see? Whoa, look at that bit. That's real nice. Hey, it's only little, but man, it's pretty. I'm sure that'll be on a few guys' Tinder profiles by tomorrow morning. It's only little, but it's pretty. That is a nice little chunk sitting out the side of this piece of quartz. I'm still going to smash this one up. I don't really think that's worth keeping like that. That amazing little piece is going to stay just as is, and I'm going to put that with the rest of the gold I've already released. This bit is definitely going to get crushed, but it's a very cool example of how gold forms around iron. Look how that gold literally doesn't go into the quartz at all. It's just sitting in that iron pocket. And that's why iron is so important when it comes to looking for hard rock. Just going to check on progress. It's only been in here for maybe 15 minutes. This is a hand-powered jaw crusher. It's a really cool little machine. By actuating these handles up and down, it moves this plate and grinds against a back plate. This crushes the quartz to a powder. And I can adjust the fineness of its crush with this little handle here. So to start with, we're not going to go for a really fine crush. We're going to go for maybe a 1/4 inch. Now, I don't think there's going to be a ton of fine gold in here, but it's best to check. I've literally just spotted the piece of gold that was in the iron. There we go. Just got to tighten this up. You can see now there is almost no light coming out of the bottom of those plates, so it's going to be a very fine crush. Not a bad job for a single pass. If there are any more reasonable sized bits of gold that'll be sitting up in this stuff, I'm really not too concerned about getting it down to be ultra fine. There's a little piece of gold just there. Oh, and that, look at that. That got flattened right out, that bit. That is now one smooshed little nug. I don't think there's going to be too much fine gold in this, so we're just going to pan it to the wheelbarrow of prosperity. Oh, I bet I could take this off. Oh, I can talk. Whilst I think we're going to see an okay amount of gold come out of this little crush, I think we're going to see a really good take of gold when we get rid of that caustic soda water and reveal the gold that's been dissolved out of the quartz. Remembering that I pulled several pieces of gold out of this already, let's see how much more we got from that crush. Oh, unseasoned pans are not fun to pan down with. Oh, Lord, I can see some fine gold up in this corner here. Oh, look at that. Yeah, we got a good amount of gold. That's nice. We did not crush that many specimens. I say we, me and, like, all my friends. And given that I already removed several pieces of gold from that crush, that is a fantastic little result. I will definitely be putting this in a seasoned pan to recover this properly, because there is a reasonable amount of fine gold in there as well. And I'm just noticing now, almost no sulfides, which is kind of interesting. Meaning that the sulfides that were present in the main vein that they were hunting and the big specimen that I crushed aren't carrying through to these side veins. Or in other words, my gold is not associated with iron in that quartz. That's still got a little while to boil. And the way that we deal with neutralizing the caustic soda is acid. So I'm just using tartric acid. It doesn't really matter what acid you use as long as you use enough. Caustic soda is a base, so we're just trying to balance out the pH. Going back to high school chemistry class, it's the same thing as vinegar and bicarb soda. The reaction you're seeing is the acid and the base neutralizing each other out, and you basically get a pH neutral water. Once we add a whole bunch of this, and it doesn't really matter how much of this I add, I can't add too much because it's tartric acid. I mean, you eat this stuff. So even if it turns that solution acidic, it's not going to be acidic in a dangerous way. I then just have to dilute any of the water in there by about 200%, and then we should be good to look at our specimens.
These feel very brittle, the small ones. So even though I haven't fully dissolved the quartz, I want to remove the big ones because I don't want them to fully dissolve. 1, 2. And some water. Ooh, look at the big hunk of gold hanging out the side of that thing. Oh, if that quartz stays together, it'll be beautiful. I'm running a real risk here that I could destroy these specimens. The caustic soda is nowhere near as accurate as doing something like hydrochloric acid, where you can slowly remove the quartz. This is the first time I wanted to experiment with it. It's a risk I'm willing to take. And before anyone says, but you got a beard, I've done the smell test. There seems to be a good seal. If I put a strong odor underneath the mask, I cannot smell it through the respirator, meaning that I have an adequate seal. Or at least adequate enough to reduce a lot of harm. There's a sentence the OH&S officers watching my channel just cringed at. Moment of truth. Let's see what these look like. Oh, oh wow. That is a specimen now. But you can see that the caustic soda has really fractured this quartz up. So this is going to be quite delicate now. That's unfortunate. I was kind of hoping to keep it more together, but it's still an amazing showpiece. Look at the structure of the gold. That's unbelievable. Let's see the second one. Oh, that's just as good. We might have lost a little bit of gold in the caustic soda, so it'll be in the pot because the caustic soda can't damage the gold at all. But look at that. It's all through it. That I would almost guarantee you that this and that are connected, because I did a multimeter test on this. And these two pieces, or within that area, they were connected. And there's a massive piece up here that I couldn't even see before. We're going to hit these with a toothbrush just to see if we can get any of the loose debris off them in a more of a gentle manner. Meanwhile, I have already added the acid to this, and I've added a little bit of extra water, just making sure there's nothing stuck to the bottom, because that does happen sometimes. You can hear pieces of gold in it now. Pull the bottom of it off. Oh, there's some real nice pieces. Look at the size of that bit. That is a nice specimen. Look at the structure. Oh, I got some killer specimens out of this. That is unreal. So this didn't dissolve because I'm guessing there's a high concentration of sulfides and iron in this. And the caustic soda is not designed to dissolve that. It's dissolved the quartz off it, but not the iron.
Seeing the structure, the way the gold is formed in the rock, to me, is a beautiful thing. And I really wanted to make some spectacular showpiece specimens so I could show my friends and family when they ask what I do. This is the one that I was truly excited to get done, and I'm very happy that it seems, for the most part, to have worked out the way I envisioned it. It revealed a lot more gold in this rock than I first thought there was. We got pieces literally all the way from this side straight through to the other side. But personally, I think even those specimens fail to compare to these little ones. These little ones show you the true nature of the gold. This is how it's formed in the rock. And you can see that if you ever dug gold out of a creek before, those flat, smooth blobs of gold you might have recovered as nuggets start their life off just like this. And you would never reveal the delicate structure of the gold, quartz, and ironstone in its natural form like this by simply crushing it. Even on a macro lens, it's incredibly difficult to show you just how delicate these pieces of gold are. They look like pieces of coral straight out of the ocean. And then you have pieces like this that show you just how closely associated gold is with iron and other sulfides. Because even after an hour and a half in caustic soda, it failed to dissolve this. I think it's going to be pretty hard for anyone to tell me that this was not worth my time and effort in researching, searching for, and working these old mine dumps. That's a pretty good day at the office. From researching, searching for, finding, working, and processing all the gold that I found out at that mine, I've got about 35 hours wrapped up in this. What I'm finding very interesting at the moment is that after processing, all the iron within these quartz specimens is starting to dissolve and oxidize out, meaning in the next few weeks, months, and even years, I'll be left with cavities in this specimen, adding to its character. For obvious reasons, I am not going to be able to weigh these because they have far too much quartz attached to them. So today, I'm just going to be weighing the free gold that I've liberated using the caustic soda and my crusher. I would hypothesize there's probably about a gram or more locked up in these rocks. Looking at the pile of gold I've got in this card, I'm going to guess that I have somewhere between 3 and 5 grams. So let's just go with 4.1. Ah, 4.293. Including the specimen gold, that means I got somewhere between 5 and 6 grams.